Hey guys, Brian here. I haven't made a video in a really long time. Little updates about me. I moved. This is my new house, my new studio. It's much nicer, much bigger. I kind of got burnt out with doing like YouTube reviews. I've been doing it for sample library review. I also quit doing audio plugin deals. Some of you might know me from there. I stopped doing that. Again, burnt out with doing all of that stuff, and now I can finally focus more on doing my own channel again. So today I want to talk a little about Joshua Bell Violin. Okay, this is the first violin library I actually ever got, and I really love it. I've been seeing some comments recently about it's difficult to program, and I agree 100%. So I just wanted to share some tips and stuff like that that I have. Now, one of the biggest things about this library when I first got it is a lot of people like me were used to having, let's say, a library that is got crossfading on CC01. What do I mean by that? It means that when I play a note, now what I mean by that is that when I hold a note, when I move my mod wheel down here on my MIDI controller, that's going to control the crossfading between dynamic layers from soft to loud. So that way that it's real easy to, let's say, program something in, I would do something like this. Maybe overlap them so it's legato. And I mean, we're all used to doing this. You just go to modulation and you program in a curve. You know, it can be as simple as that depending on your library. That actually sounds really good. Just the solid line. If you want to be more, you know, subtle and natural about it, and you can round it out a bit. So Joshua Bell Violin by default does not have this. It's got dynamics programmed to how hard I press the key. Okay, so it's like very soft touch, very soft note. There are a ton of controls with this violin. However, it is easily the most realistic thing I've ever heard in my life when it comes to virtual instruments. In fact, the first library review I ever did in my entire life, back in like 2016, 2 houses ago, reviewing Embertone herring clarinet. Anyway, the herring clarinet, it was so responsive and playable. I had never done a review before and I wanted to do one. So this one has the same kind of playability. Okay, you heard it right there. This one struggles, though I do love this library. This one will struggle when you do the faster stuff. It's not bad, but like listen to this one. Like I can just do trills just with 2 notes, 2 fingers. That is insane. Okay, so it takes a lot of work to really get the most out of it. Now I've got a few different lines here, the exact same thing, and some of them are programmed in just by dynamics, meaning how hard I press the key. So you can see right here, lifting up and re-triggering the same note will do a rebow. Okay, so we're gonna listen to these lines here, and I'm gonna show you the different ways that you can control dynamics besides using the mod wheel like we're all used to. Okay, so here's the line. It's one violin, character just natural, and another violin with the character delicate. And they are panned a little bit left and right so you can kind of tell them apart. So already, even without anything except just doing dynamic, that sounds amazing. Okay, there's the transitions between notes, the liveliness. You'll learn how to play this like its own instrument, and it's different from any other library in that way. There is a library that's kind of similar with how you program decrescendos with the pitch bend, and that is the Fluffy Audio Trio Bros solo strings. So it's violin, viola, and cello. And then also the Fluffy Audio Solo woodwinds have this same kind of concept. And what I'm going to do in the first way to control dynamics is with the pitch bend wheel, okay, on your keyboard controller. Now you can play stuff in like this and it sounds really good. So I'll show you what it looks like. If I go here, look at my pitch bend wheel here. All the way down, it's a diminuendo long. Down one semitone or one tone, it's a diminuendo short. 0, it's a sustain. Up, 1 plus 1 is crescendo short, and up plus 2 is a crescendo long. So if I can do stuff like this, you can do that in the middle of the note, and it sounds very natural the way it kind of re-triggers. So I'm going to do like a crescendo long with a really hard press, and it'll get really loud. So what I did there is just like using the pitch bend wheel all the way up in the middle. So plus 2, plus 1, and 0. And what I mean by that is we have a range of 2 semitones here. And you can kind of see this if I look at my pitch bend. So plus 2 is up there, 100. Do it down to 50. I'm looking at these numbers here. Now it's at 50, and that will be the crescendo short. So you can do the starts of phrases with the crescendo. And it has that natural fade in and fade out. Now, these are, as far as I'm aware, these are all recorded on a sample. Like when the Joshua Bell is performing, they recorded him doing a real crescendo. This kind of stuff sounds significantly better than riding the mod wheel to me. It is harder to get it to work. So totally user preference. But I'll show you how I did that same line that we had first using the pitch bend to do crescendos, decrescendos, sometimes in the middle of the note, and diminuendos as well. And you'll see my pitch bend information here down at the bottom. So a lot of times I'll start with a crescendo at the beginning, go to a diminuendo at the end of the phrase, you can see. So when it's all the way up like that, that's a long crescendo. When it's all the way down, that's a long diminuendo. So let's look at the other one here, because I have 2 kind of harmonizing parts. And we'll look at the GUI here. You can see what articulation is being triggered as I play this. And you'll see how those correspond with the pitch bend parameters there. So you'll see I do like a lot of just holding a single note and switching from a crescendo to diminuendo and then right back to another crescendo. Like you get this really natural arc and dynamics that you just don't get with, playing the static single notes, as good as that sounds with this library. So let's kind of isolate this. There was one note in particular I saw. It was right here. Like it starts with crescendo and then goes to a sustain for the when it goes to legato transition there. Right there, that was just going from a regular sustain to a crescendo short in the middle of the note. And it sounded so fluid and natural, but it's so lively. The violin, there's such a range of dynamics there. It's if we just played the violin the same dynamic all the time, it would be fucking boring, right? So Joshua Bell, like the most virtuous, one of the most virtuoso violinists on the planet, you get a lot, but you've got to think how a violinist would actually perform. So just like that little slow arc, if you try to do that with mod wheel, you'd have to tweak the parameters for ages, getting the perfect curve, and it would not sound as good as an actual human performing it, let alone a human like Joshua Bell. So the final way to do dynamics with this library is with key switches. So pitch bend is what I do when I'm kind of like playing in live, because it's once you do it a lot, it'll become second nature. I use it just like a mod wheel. I know crescendo, decrescendo, that's what I want to do, and swelling between them actually sounds really good. So I want to go and show you how to do this with key switches. This might be easier for people, and especially if you can set up, expression maps or sound variations within your DAW. So going here on these green keys, another thing I love about this library. Let me just play this note here and go into a tremolo or a trill, just holding a note. Like it's it's a little bit robotic going back into the same kind of note, but just the way you can seamlessly switch, and there's no, it's so fluid, just such a insane amount of detail and precision in this library, and with a lot of stuff Embertone does. Like it feels like they've captured a human being inside of this. Still to this day, I have no other library that reacts this way, which is why I understand some may think it's hard to program. So to make it simpler, we have key switches here. Those crescendos and decrescendos are also programmed on key switches as well as the pitch bend wheel. So this depends on your preference. Now, the way you would set it up is if I press this one with a high velocity, it's going to be crescendo short. If I press it with the low velocity, same key switch, it's going to be crescendo long. Okay, so the way you would set this up in your expression maps is you notice both of these are G1. Okay, so I've set one up. However, what you want to differentiate between them is my note on here, or excuse me, G sharp 1. Data 2 is at 50, meaning that when I hit this, the dynamic velocity is going to be 50, and this one's going to be 120. That means crescendo long, CC value 50 or lower, and then crescendo short it's actually 64 or higher, and then 64 or 63 or lower is crescendo long. So let's go and look how you can do that. So I've got expression maps now. Instead of the pitch bend and you kind of guessing, you can do this. So I've got crescendo long. You can also do contours this way. So a contour is when we have both a crescendo and a diminuendo in the middle of a phrase. So if I were to go here, so you can do that in the middle of a sustained note, and it goes up and then back down. Again, just a very natural bowing of the string, and just to get that liveliness. The thing about the contour is it is a fixed length every time. So the way you can also do it is like I was doing, programming in crescendos and then diminuendos, and then you can customize the length of your line more than a contour in this library, which is predetermined in length. So something like that. Just again, these are all going to be easier if you can actually see it. Also, just tips, kind of humanizing this. I've got this one starting a lot sooner. Not a lot, but the timing isn't perfect in these. So like when I have that start a little bit sooner, it's just adding humanizing elements like that. So what I want to do, I'm just doing this in real time as you can kind of see. Just clicking those key switches, it adds so much liveliness to it. And the way this handles rebows as well is beautiful. The contour short might actually work there when I switch to this note. No, we'll go crescendo and then yeah, see, this is why I prefer like crescendos and diminuendos to the contour, because I can do stuff like that. And then end, of course, a diminuendo long. So that was just adding key switches in real time to that phrase, and a little bit, it tips just how to use this library and get the most of it. So go and make an expression map if you're that kind of person. Obviously, I've been doing the pitch bend way with this and those fluffy audio libraries for a while. So that's why I really like that approach. It once you learn it, you'll learn how to read that just as easily. I really like the results from that, from when I was just kind of doing that. So either the pitch bend way, just using velocity to control dynamics, you can get some amazing results with this library. If you're new and you're used to doing the mod wheel, I think trying it out with the key switching way is good because we're already familiar with what the mod wheel does, going upward slope, crescendo, downward slope, diminuendo. So you can literally just use these. So crescendo long and then crescendo short, just using those or the diminuendos as you would use the mod wheel. So if we're used to doing, let's say, up and then down, we know we need to do a crescendo long and then a fairly quick diminuendo there on the new note. So that would be the easiest way to do it. But of course, the pitch bend way is also there as well. So thanks for watching. Little tip. I'll see you guys next time.